Welcome, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship December presentation. Tonight we have with us Sue Burton Hidalgo. Her topic tonight is Touched by Angels, the Presence of Light and Renewal. Thank you for joining us this evening. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you're a return, welcome back. We're so glad you found us. And welcome to the SFF community. My name is Smith Prim. I'm the co-chairman for the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, along with Catherine Smart. Catherine is also our editor and writer, and Kim Kasdorf is here with us tonight. He's our media director. We're here for you. That's our mission. We want you to know that SFF is here for you. Our nonprofit, all-volunteer-run organization is here to help you develop and enhance your spiritual, mystical, and metaphysical awareness and consciousness. We do that by sponsoring the programs like the one tonight, designed to facilitate your personal growth and development and a holistic and spiritual approach to health and to living. We want you to know that the program is being recorded. We think you're going to love tonight's program, and you may be, if you have your camera on, you may be seen. Obviously, we don't record the Q&A that's after the talk, and that's not published on YouTube. But if you don't want to be visible, just simply turn off your camera. That'll work. And before I want to introduce our speaker tonight, before I turn it over to Sue. Sue Burton Hidalgo is here tonight for her presentation on a sacred conversation for divine connection and spiritual empowerment. So that's the subtitle. And I have my notes here. Although Sue now lives in Michigan, she used to be a North Carolina resident from 1983 to 1995, and she offers spiritual readings and guidance that earned her a devoted following. During the 2-hour event tonight, Sue will offer guided meditations, energy attunements, and sacred rituals. And those were listed on our website, so I'll let her go over those. Whether you're a seasoned intuitive or a newly awakening on your spiritual path, this experience will provide you a safe and luminous space to deepen your connection with the divine and become a vessel of grace for yourself and for others. So at this point, I would like to introduce Sue Burton Hidalgo. Sue, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to see you. We do have some very seasoned people. You asked me about someone to talk. There's Linda Robinson, and she has a page on, she channels an angel, and it's very precious information. So I'm sure that, and Ariel, I think you also have a page on the web. So I'm really glad to have such a esteemed company. Carol, you laughed earlier because you saw me making dicomio from Reiki and sending it to you guys. And I did Merkaba Kalishma, which is a calling to the feminine, and the Sophia. So as I've worked with Reiki symbols, I realized that at one level in the heavens, everything is symbols. I remember one year long ago, I asked my guides, why are all the angelics very blonde with blue eyes, very European? And they laughed. And the whole next week, all I saw was afros and orange robes. And the week after that, what I saw was shapes, colored shapes. And so they said that the reason why we're appearing as something you're accustomed to is so you don't have to translate so much about what it is like where we are. So sacred geometry became one of those things that I was very entranced by, and we'd already been working in color healing. So tonight, don't be surprised if when we do the meditation, you might get somebody with blonde hair and blue eyes that maybe looks like an alien Nordic. You never know. I remember one of the first angelics I saw was quite amazing. It looked like a lion with a lion body, a man's face, and wings. I was truly, in biblical terms, sore amazed. I fell down and went, because I could feel the strength of it. And it was actually had a little thing that it created that looked like a view screen, and I could see a little world in it and things moving around. Um, so they don't always look like we might think. And oftentimes, I don't worry so much about looking as I try to define what I'm feeling. For example, let me see if I'm about sharing the screen here. And did you let Pam Wolf in yet? There we go. That's another super smart lady who's been to SFFs over the years. And let me go down here and share my screen. And I'm going to share it this way. So it may look a little odd, I hear, when I start sharing the screen. Okay. Yeah, I was going to X that out. That's good. So I call this system angelic awakening. I've done a lot of work on energy fields with people. And over time, I realized that I always had a silent partner. And as I began to look around, uh, I was surrounded by partners, healing partners in the spirit world. How many of you had that happen? I'll bet you have. It started out for me in the mid 80s. I was sitting quietly in a room and I reading in a little pool of lamplight. And as I felt it come into the room, something, and of course I looked up. I was in this big house all by myself. Who the heck is in the doorway coming in? But it felt so good. And when I looked up, it was um, an angelic being. And he said to me that he was here to help. Let's see now, come on. Let me look at the screen and move it along. Okay. So he said that he was um, there to help me spread the word about angelics. And that's what I've been doing for quite a while. As I've been working with healing work, I've started working on 7 chakras above the body and 7 chakras below the body, as well as a variety of chakras within the body. And like the elbows, which is about being elbowed out and having our space and feeling protected. There we go. There's the thing I was looking for. So we really believed in angels as children. You don't really have to believe because they'll come around anyway. Uh, and our misconceptions might impede our efforts to find them. And I have a part 1 to this and a part 2. Don't buy it on Amazon yet because that's about 14 years old, and I'm about to re-up it with new. Probably take me a couple of months, but I will get it done among my many little tasks. So I'm an illustrator of a lot of the work that you'll see. Um, when I was in the 2nd grade, I used to draw little angels for the other little girls in the 2nd grade, and I would color their dresses. Now I realized what I was doing was picking up the tone of each one of their angels. And here it is, an image of me in the lamplight. Can you see this over here? The white angel on the side. If you can't, that's all right. So the words happening and the presence of angels and Mary, the Christ, saints. I've even gotten used to people's dead relatives when they come in for a reading. And I could see the relatives, like see their face and a little bit of their body, because once you die, the etheric body hopefully dissipates. If it doesn't, you look like one of the ghosts in a house in Hillsborough. It was a house from the 1700s, and she comes down the stairway regularly, but her body is cut off at about the thighs because the etheric body, which covers the physical body, and hopefully if you're grounded, it goes all the way down below your feet, stays with you. But in these days, I'll see someone's Grandma Rose or their Uncle Peter, and lately they've begun to want to touch me and pet me and be sweet and appreciative that I'm there listening and passing information along. And at first I was like, no, don't touch me. No. Mm-mm. But if they are pleasant, I learn to be kind and connect. And that was another step on the path of doing mediumship work for those who are on the other side, no matter whether it's a human being or an angelic or I work a lot with dead Tibetans. They're so long ago that they're not wearing the orange and yellow anymore. They're wearing clothing that was dyed with plant dyes. So this is one of my angels, Jehuel, and I rarely see him with my physical eyes anymore, although when he first appeared, he did. He loves to do work with art, and these days I'm moving back because I have a degree in art to making more art, just like I did in the second grade, only maybe a little more educated now. Doesn't look like stick figures. There are as many angels as there are God qualities. So if you think about love, what color do you think it is? Yeah, you probably think it's pink. If you think about harmony, what color do you think it might be? Yep, you got it. So the word angel comes from the Greek word which means messenger. And for a long time, no matter, they didn't have wings. It was basically the Babylonians who started putting wings on those lion figures with the man's head on those statues that we see them still. But all angelics, uh, I'll pause to address that in a moment, but all the angelics I work with come as messengers bearing God's word and God's will. And it feels very different. You know how it is when you do something your grandma would be proud of. When you think about it, can't you feel it somewhere through here? Yeah. Catherine Ponder, who was a person who helped to form the Unity Church, wrote a book about 12 powers. And I'll show you a picture of the angelic chakra later on your body. So we have Balinese angels, we have Mayan and Hindu figures. They usually do have a shining, radiant quality about them. And in this illustration, I showed the wings as symbolic, but they're really like some sort of geometric shape. So some of the earliest Christian art, this one of Jacob's Ladder, is very interesting because you see them as long, tall figures, and the clothing is kind of like in long ago days that would have been used as your shroud, like the Shroud of Turin. It would have been some sort of linen color like this. So I thought that was interesting, but the true form is something that is very geometric. The other day I was talking about how do you ever see a little blue dot across the room, or maybe it's yellow, or maybe it's, yeah, think about this. In the mountains of North Carolina, you can be down here in the valley and you look up at the mountain and there's a tunnel for cars and big trucks and such. And it's so far away, it looks like a tiny dot, doesn't it? But when you get up on the top of the mountain and you get to the tunnel, you see how big it is. So these funny little dots that you're seeing, um, it's an open door to the inner planes. And that's why I have this tunnel-like orangey figure over here to show to symbolize that tunnel. And that is a way that we can travel because our mind understands the tunnel. It is a common experience for most everyone who dies or has a near death that they go through the tunnel. But my segue here about for us tonight is to invite you to, if you see a little blue dot or some color of dot, that you could imagine that you come to a vortex or a tunnel and you can get closer to it. I'll bet you right now, if I took a camera out, I could probably take a picture of you guys and find you surrounded by orbs. Have you seen people covered by orbs? Yeah, yeah. Orbs are beings and their qualities, God qualities, just like the angelics. I saw one once in a cavern where I took a group, and in between a stalagmite and a stalactite that weren't quite touching was this amazing rainbow-hued orb uh, in this cave system. I thought, what are you doing down here? And it just kind of shook a little bit like, that's funny. What do you mean, what am I doing down here? What are you doing down here? So back in the Middle Ages, there was something you could ask or study that would get you excommunicated. And it was how many angels can stand on the head of a pin. And what they were looking for was the idea, are the heavens corporeal or not? Let's see, how long ago was it that we had that beautiful Pope John? Probably about 30, 40 years since he passed. And he said, yes, that the heavens are a real place that you can get into, and it has its own laws of physics, its own matter, so to speak. So that's interesting. So you might not worry when you go into walking with your angelic and go, why is there ground here? It will hold you up, and it is part of their world. So I talked about this. They're non-corporeal. They're emanations of the God energy, the wavelength. So why do we even have angels? Why do we have intermediaries? Remember the story of Moses, that the light of God came down from into a flaming bush to speak to him, and even so he was burned on his face and body. And he was even blinded for a little while, or so the Bible says. And I think that that's true. Sometimes after I work with some of the angelics, I rest for a little bit because they're intense. Are angels feminine or masculine? Masculine tends to have a connotation of being penetrated by the spirit, and femininity implies being filled with feelings. So most of the angelics are neither he nor she. There's every once in a while one, like Sandalphon is considered a female angel, and sometimes you'll see pictures of Gabriel. Jibril is how I live in Detroit, and it has the largest population of Lebanese people outside of Lebanon. So I know a lot of Muslim people. So interesting to talk to them about angels because they are part of their system. Um, angels' cousins are called DEVA, devas. They're the spirits of nature. And I'm sure some of you have felt those. That was how I did it when I was a child. And my mother told me, you don't see a blue man, and he isn't following you around, and I'm going to spank you if you talk about him anymore. So I began to go outside and sit with the trees and the stones and breathe in this beautiful valley. I lived on the edge of the national forest, very lucky. And the devas actually loved, and they're quite funny. It's like they say about the sprites or spirits in uh, Great Britain, that they have a sense of humor and they're somewhat mischievous, but they don't have the same consciousness we have or the same consciousness angelics have. So after tonight, you might find a tree or a plant in your home that you love. I have a tree I've kept for 25 years and it's only about 3 feet high, and it has a lot of presence. And so I sit by it sometimes just to feel it and see what it thinks, if I'm overwatering it or killing it, or it wants to go back to Thailand, please. So you might try that out with some of your plants and see how different they feel. But you know nature feels different from the angelic ranks. Probably the angel we know best is Michael. Um, I'll run over this pretty fast. The man named Dionysius, and I can't spell his last name or pronounce it. I can spell it, but Areopagus made this idea that there were 3 levels of the heavens, and that the first level, the seraphim, always faced the divine, and they vibrated, sang to the divine about their love and appreciation. And the next layer of angels, the cherubims, they were singing and looking at the divine too, but they were kind of peeking around going, something else is happening. And the thrones, or the ophanim, which are often shown as wings with big eyes or circles with eyes on them, they actually said to the divine, oh, you want to make something more manifest? Well, we'll help out by giving you part of our essence. And they looked both ways with all those eyes. And one of my old SFF friends, Carol Channel Cox, she told me in a class once that there were at one point no human beings. There were only God and the angelics, the Elohim, which says elder brothers. Do you notice how all the angels' names in an L, Raphael, Gabriel, and the nature spirits? And she said when God took some of the energy from the thrones, the Ophanim angels, he also got some from the devas, from the nature spirits, and put them into forms. Interesting idea, because she also said that those who got a huge serving of the angelic energy had like little swords, and they ran around going, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that. And that the ones who got a huge dose of the Davic nature spirit went around saying, oh, things are broken, I'm so sad. But neither one had a very clear truth about the divine. It had not done anything wrong, or nothing was broken. And that is a hard concept for us human beings to have acceptance and clarity. I won't cover the other orders because we've got 2 hours instead of 8 days. Here's a nice picture from William Blake showing the variety of angelic beings. So you might look him up online or go to the library and get a book you can hold to look at for hours. So I talked about the seraphim being angels of love and echoing that love, and the cherubim echo truth. Do you ever know anybody who is connected to truth? They want to tell the truth. Now, sometimes they want to tell the truth without regard for the next energy, which is the love, the energy of love. Go along here. Yeah, the virtues are the love angelics. So you might see a lot of feminine, and if you look at the illustration, the painter has shown a lot of very feminine angels in the illustration as a reflection that they're the head of their order is Mary. and they are about mercy and forgiveness and the will to persevere. I know I've told you a lot of things. I'm going to move along a little bit because I don't want to talk about these in particular. Oh, I did mention Sandalphon earlier. And here's a picture I made of Sandalphon coming out of the tunnel of light out of the heavens holding a little baby. So before you leave heaven, supposedly in angel lore, Sandalphon holds you and whispers to you and gives you hope and faith to keep moving on into this particular world. I've taught past life regression for a long time. Colonel Joe, what's his last name? You might remember, Catherine. He was an SFF presenter, and he was really into the Space Brothers and such. And he taught past life regression. And he was a fascinating elderly gentleman. So the idea in past life regression is that you have a person experience one or two or three lives and you lead them over in the tunnel past death. But sometimes when I would experiment with it and bring them back in to be born, that was worse than dying. People really hated in the past life regression work to be born. They were like, no, no, don't make me, even though they had chosen it. So Sandalphon is a little hero there. Michael's name means who is as God. And it's said that when God is absent from heaven, that Michael sits on the throne. Now, I don't know when God is absent from heaven. Doesn't make sense to me because it's everywhere. And here in Detroit, there's actually in the Art Institute of Art, there is a picture of Michael, and on his wings, it's all little peacock eyes, which are said to cry for the sins of the faithful. It's interesting because it is an Islamic thought that that Michael is sad for us, the defender and the protector. Now we're going to play a game. I call it a game. That's to get you to relax and think you can do it. And all of us, when we want to play a game, we want to participate and we want to be good at it and we want to win and have fun. So when I train Reiki students, I've trained thousands of people in Reiki. I play a little game with them. So I want you to just settle in your chair and get comfy. And we're going to imagine that this big old angel with a blue cloak comes and stands behind you. And did you ever have your granny or your mom wrap her arms around you and stand behind you and you could lean back against her? Well, you might think about that. Michael's holding on to me, but it's his wings that are holding me. And I could just lean back into that soft cloud of energy that is protecting. And Michael's main identifier, besides the deep flame blue, is a sword. So I'd like to invite you to imagine that Michael's sword, which is made out of light, comes into your fontanelle and begins slowly to come down through your body, just all the way to your root chakra. You can take your time. It's kind of like one of those long light tubes that you see in industrial ceilings, but they're daylight now. But this tube comes down through your body and it begins to radiate light. And as it radiates light into your body, you may make a choice to let go of whatever is negative within you. The light begins to make it dissipate. And as it dissipates, you are in a perfectly formed bubble of Michael energy that protects you. And why do I teach that to Reiki students? because they're putting their hands on people. A lot of the students I had were in their late teens, early 20s. So they may not have been as mature as some of you folks. And they needed some form of grounding and protection. How do you feel, or how do you think you feel about this Michael energy? Does it sit right with you? Do you feel comforted by it? So, can Michael give you a gift from the heavens? It's okay to ask for it. You deserve it, and it's yours. There you go. Just take it in. I feel my body melting. I feel some of the funny places on my body itching a little bit, and then I feel them cool down. So you may feel some things like this. Whatever you feel, it's a true feeling. Great. So we might taking Michael with you and making an agreement that you will visit with him again really soon. You might bring your focus back or just stay with Michael. This one's for you, Mr. Prim. Aniel is the angel of Capricorn, and
Okay.
he's supposed to help supervise the ruling of kings and nations. And it's the masculine father principle, and it's building the best out of our highest ideals so that our brotherhood, which is an Aquarian quality, but might be celebrated. And sometimes you see Aniel aspects, the Venus in the Romans, Aphrodite of the Greeks, Freya of the Norse, and sometimes Aniel will be it's a balance of the masculine and feminine, and sometimes it will be the feminine mother, and sometimes it's the masculine father. So you might think of that if you know anyone who is androgynous, and see what you think about the balance of the masculine and the feminine within them. Do you know that Capricorn is a feminine sign? I always wondered about that, but it's considered a feminine sign. So we're going to do a little meditation again about the angel of the heart. Bazillion years ago, when I lived in Durham, I had a little healing group in 88. And I invited this group to stand in a circle and to each one to come right back here between the shoulder blades, and as though they were stroking out the wings, angelic wings. So you might think about that. I know you don't have anyone behind you now, but I think Michael might still be there. So you might ask that it comes along and opens on the back. And guess what? You have another part of the angelic chakra system that comes out right at your hairline. So we have, I'm trying to find my little picture here and share something else. Can we stop sharing? Oh, well, here it is. Here's my picture. The opening on the back and opening up the wings. I probably don't have a picture of the head, the one that comes out of the head. But get your wings big and full, and even imagine that you are going to be flipping them back and forth, exercising them. If you saw the movie Michael with John Travolta, you would see him flexing his wings, especially when he was dancing with those ladies in the restaurant. He'd be shaking those wings, feathers fell out. Great pictures, movie. And on the front of your head, you might reach up and make a little clockwise as though you had a clock on your forehead and you were going to move that clock along. There we go. I'm where I want to be now. And opening that chakra up, imagine that the energy runs between the wings on your back and this headlight on your forehead. And as the energy flows through, you might turn back to your Michael meditation and see if it's easier to feel or imagine or see this energy. Cool. Okay. Okay, computer. We've got what I'm looking for. Now, can you guys see that? Or Kim?
I can't see it yet.
Okay, I'll share again. That's why it's not showing up, is I wasn't sharing again. So, did it make any difference for you when you did this idea that you were able to connect to an actual chakra that feels the inner? Yeah, isn't that interesting? The heart chakra in the back is kind of what this is, but it isn't the heart chakra. It's actually connected to this long funnel-like thing that comes out at the hairline, if you had a hairline. So even on bald people, it will be about right. I know you can see that now. And there are lots of other chakras that are connected with the head that perhaps we are not working with so much these days. There it is. Angels in Genesis. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll have to share again then to find it. There's actually a chakra that comes out the back of your ridge of your cranium. And that's the one that Catherine Ponder talked about in her work in Unity. And she said, there it is. She said it was called the Zeal chakra. And it was about willpower. Did the person have enough willpower? So not only does the head have something to do with your vision, come on, little picture. Hope I don't make it go down, fussing around with it. I'll quit sharing with it because I will. Oh, there's somebody wanting to chat. I love that. Oh, it's about a welcome. Okay. So the chakra on the back that is about our zeal, and think about it when people get excited about something, or lots of you are old enough to have watched black and white cartoons. And so when the wolfie sees something he likes, his eyes bulge out and he goes, Hauga, because he's looking at what he's interested in. And the movement starts from the back of your cranium. It's an interesting spot because in some kinesiology systems, that is a place of delusion. Your willpower spot is place of delusion. Interesting. Am I still sharing there or not? No, good. Good. So this idea that a lot of the angelic energies are connected around the head. When you think about angels, what's one of the other things you think about besides wings? Halos. Yeah, you got it. And they're different shapes. Mary, of course, is all covered in stars, and the Christ has a cross with a dove coming down into the top of the cross. So I'll invite you to look at some pictures yourself that are common pictures if you went and Googled them and ask yourself, what's that for? What would it feel like? What would it feel like if I had an angelic approach that was a God quality that was associated with that dove coming down? What would that feel like? Yeah. Do you get it? Can you feel it come down into the heart area of your body when you think about it coming all the way down? And if you think about, I showed that Aniel picture earlier. What she had above her head was a black and white yin yang symbol because of the balance of the masculine and feminine. I think you're getting the drift. I see Linda Robinson grinning that she gets it, that this is, you can have identifiers, and the identifiers will be like a telephone number. And you can then, because pretty much their bodies all look alike, although every painting I've ever made of Michael, I give him bulk. And a lot of the there is an angel called Uriel who's head of the sixth ray. I probably shouldn't go there. That'll take another few days to talk about too. But the idea is that at one point, as the divine was making the cosmos, it put out pulses of qualities. And the first pulse that it put out was a fiery flame blue, and it was the energy of will. I'm going to make something. I'm going to be awake and aware. And that is what happens when you, as a human being, begin to think about incarnating again. So you're not just a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean at one point. And when the will impulse comes along and you begin to form, and the next impulse is one of love. How are you doing? Have I lost anybody? No, you're doing good. Okay. I'm going to try to share something else with you because I have some pictures I made of Genesis. And in Genesis, let's see, where's that Genesis thing? It is right there. And I'll share it in a second when it comes up. Again, if my computer doesn't say, what are you doing making me work so hard? I doubt that it's going to go down though. This computer is so good, I'm going to bless it right now. Okay, there we go. We're going to view it as a slideshow, and we're going to view it from the beginning, which is what it's on. And I'm going to go back to Kim, do I need to make it share again, or you're going to make it share my screen?
I think that you have the control at the bottom of your screen to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oop, there it is. I'll go backwards some, see if I can find it, or it's hidden up there on the top. Let's see.
I'm seeing the whole gallery.
Yeah, that's a whole gallery. Maybe I will try that. Oh, you see the whole gallery of human beings that are talking tonight or watching. Okay, I'll go backwards and I'll see about finding the exit to this. I'll see if I can share. Show presenter view. Okay. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. I'll just, I'm sure you can't see the screen, so I'm going to try to come out of it. My apologies, folks. Just usually pretty darn technical. Uh, but I've been doing lots and lots of private sessions more than public classes these days. Now you can see it, can't you?
Yes, we see it now.
Yeah, yeah. From the beginning, this first slide, and we'll view it as a uh, slideshow. There we go. We can see it. I'll pull it up and make it a little bigger. So ray one, wave one is the pulse. And when in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. And then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and separated the light from the darkness, and called the day light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, and it was the first day. And here's Michael. It's that will force, and it's a strong angelic being. Um, and you see his little sword here, and that is faith and will and the power of God to protect us. This is a little meditation we did tonight. If you get this copied, you might be able to read it on your screen later on and take your time. This is showing Michael putting the sword or his staff into one of my friends and making it go all the way down through her body as a blessing. And that was my goal for each and every one of the angels that I have in these slideshows. For all 7 rays, I associated them with some sentences of Genesis. And that's an interesting thing to go back and look at. Although some of you know the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd," which is Aries, "I shall not want," Taurus, and on and on and on through the signs of the zodiac. Sometimes I do that as my prayer, and as I do the words and I stop and feel them, I also ask those angelics who are associated with signs of the zodiac. And you can Google that. It may look like useless material when it's just a list on the computer page. But if you start putting it in action with your will and your imagination from your heart and your angelic chakra, then you will find that it really opens up for you. So I'm going to show you another one. I hope this interests you. It always interests me. How can I increase? I'm kind of an egghead, though. Uh, I like all those little facts and ideas, and I think I spent too many lifetimes in the monastery library thinking about things because it's really intense for me. Let's just see if I can show you the one about, yeah, that's the Uriel one. This one, I took the eyes of Martin Luther King and photoshopped them into Uriel's face. I thought that was funny. I enjoyed making it as something that we could see those kind eyes. Okay, we're going to share that one and share. What am I doing on time? I'm not taking too much time. So this is ray 6, the 6th pulse of God, and that is the energy of service and devotion. I was going to move that over and I missed it. Okay, come back here. Now, can you still see it and share it? Yeah, okay. So God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind," and so on and so forth. And here is the angel Uriel. Do you know that at one point, wow, your screen sharing, share. It
It's a
keeps
little
going away.
small if you could make it a little bit bigger.
Yes, I'm trying to do that. I'm going, why isn't this doing this the right way? It's me. Okay, and we're going to view it as a slideshow, and we're going to start from the current slide. Okay, now it's big. Did you know that at one point, one of the Arabic kings and his little brother were being threatened and they were going to be killed off. And they snuck out of the palace, and the older brother took the little brother on his shoulders and swam across the river with him. And they were pursued because they wanted to make sure they were dead. Sound like European stories of Great Britain and who killed who in the yeah. And so these brothers made it to Spain, to a little town called Toledo, Spain. And Toledo, Spain became a huge university in Europe. And it got all this Arabic teachers. I know you hated algebra early on in school, probably, but you knew that it came from Arabian numbers, Arabian math. So they were the culture that kept knowledge going. At one point, they were run out by the Catholics, and there was a great purge in Europe of anybody who was a brainiac and thought about things. But they went into Africa and took the language with them. And Uriel is an angel who is about idealism and service and devotion and abundance. When I first focused on Uriel, I got a message from him. I want to digress for a moment. Do you guys remember Tamiko Smith? She was studied by, one time she and I were, and Donna Hewlett were giving a lecture at Duke University's Parapsychology Institute. And I asked Tamiko, because she'd been studied, how did she become so accurate? And she said, all women are princesses and all men were kings, and then I just make up whatever comes to me. And it is kind of like that. So when you're wanting to connect with angelic messages, remember that one of the best psychics I ever met, and I've met a lot of them, because when I started out, there were no books. You went and got readings from people and studied their styles and listened to them. So my message from Uriel was, I'm of the sun, and I'm never without the light of God. I am the angel of salvation. Of course, it took me a little longer to figure out all the words because they came into my mind slowly, not as fast as what I am talking about. So when you talk to your angels, you might keep that idea in mind. Uriel translates as God is my light. There are a lot of angels that are regents of the sun. They live in the same frequency of light as the sunlight. So my meditation for this, I don't know if it's on this slide or another one. I've rewritten this stuff so many times. Yeah, it's not on this So I want you walk on the beach, don't you? Do you ever walk on the beach and you can hear the ocean on this side and there's the sun in front of you and you just close your eyes and feel yourself walking on the beach. Will you do that now? You can see that sun and you're walking toward the sun, walking in the light. And this light is so warm and so loving. And as you walk, you find that it's a path of light even over the water. Like Thomas the Doubter, be still and know that I am God. And you are walking across the light and you're walking into the sun, but you're not going to be burned because it is a metaphysical sun. It is the fire and light of God. All around you, there may be gold and blue, red and green and white. Sometimes he's called Oriel or Phanuel. You might walk into the sun and kind of imagine that you look down at you. And are you wearing anything different from what you usually wear? Do you sense something positive in your body, like a tingling or this is fire energy. So fire burns in the center and then it jumps out of the circle and jumps out and out and out. So fire grows in circular ways in the body as well. So when I do Kaialoa, which is Polynesian body work, the fire element, just like in India, is associated with the solar plexus, and the energy goes out and out and out and out, and it burns whatever you need burned. And you have the grace within you to pare away, to cut away what is not in conformity to the adorable will of God. That's an Anglican prayer. And Uriel will answer you. He'll begin to sweep and burn within your field and take things away that you no longer need. This is good for muscles that are too tight. They're bound up. And this fiery light goes in and creates in the muscles activity. The electromagnetic muscles work on positive and negative flow. The light works on them and opens it up. Is there anything or anybody in your life that you would like Uriel to stand between you and them and be an intermediary for you? Oh, I can think of one or two, can't you? And this big angel with golden light, even if he does have such kind eyes. And within his heart is a blue and white, yellow and golden flame. Sometimes I call out to him and I sing a little song that I heard Tom Kenyon sing long ago. And it goes, there is a lighthouse that's calling me back home. No, you can't see it with your eyes. It's within your heart, hoping for you to realize. And Uriel, this very knowledgeable angel of light and the light of your mind and your consciousness. If you can't figure them out one way, you might imagine you're looking at a lighthouse. We have a bunch of them here in the Great Lakes, just like you do off the Outer Banks. Good. How different was Uriel from Michael for you? Did they have different qualities, even though they were both fairly masculine? Yeah. So I think this is giving you an idea. Oh, good. We got another hour, don't we? Yeah. That I can talk to you. Tell me whenever it's time to stop and answer questions, because I'll talk all day.
Yes, typically you speak until around 8:20 or 8:25, and then
Okay,
we'll do
good.
the Q&A.
Good to know. You tell me, oh, Sue, it's time to talk questions. But I'm sure you have some about this idea of associating the angels with different regions of the earth and different peoples of the earth. And all this is kind of heady stuff that you can get out of books like Dictionary of the Angels. And the angelic lore actually came through mostly through the monks in the Catholic Church, even though, and that's how Dionysius wrote down his orders of angels. And he was one of the lucky ones who didn't wind up excommunicated and other things done to him. They accepted it. He must have done some really pretty illuminated manuscripts, huh? Or something. So the other thing I use when I am working a lot of times is the idea that they're coming out of a tunnel. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about? I'll give it some thought here. There's so many things in my files, you wouldn't believe it. Well, you would if you can see my files. I just create all day long. I want to talk about Metatron because while Michael is the zeitgeist of our time, Metatron is the angel of the future that is coming pretty darn soon, too. Uh, I keep being told that. My husband looks outside every night and says, "Come on, guys, I want to go." I'm like, I'm not ready to go yet. Can't go without me. There we go. Share. And we're going to look at it. Oh, we're screen sharing still. And let's go to a slideshow. Well, I'm getting faster at this. Uh-oh, unstoppable. Come on, slideshow, and start from the beginning. So the 10th ray, you know there are more than 7 rays, don't you? Okay. The 10th ray is the pulse of the divine that's called destiny. Do you know that Metatron was considered to be one of the prophets? And God liked walking around and talking with him. So one day he said, "Whoop, bringing you up here with me so we can discuss all kinds of things while you are here in the heavens with me." And he turned him into an angelic being called Metatron. Metatron is about not just destiny, but transformation. This is a very interesting culture that we live in now, a very interesting time, probably never ever that we know of in the human history that we have written down, have cultures changed so much and so fast. The move over to the Aquarian age, which actually is what started around when the Mayan calendar turned over from 2012 to 2013. It wasn't necessarily a lifting up into the heavens, but it was definitely a change in the transformation. People began to really have new thoughts, new ideas. So Metatron is the guardian of our planet, the Earth, Gaia. So sometimes I imagine that I am meeting him by standing in the sunlight in a forest. And the air becomes very thick, a golden layer of light, like the magic carpet. And I imagine myself laying on the light lifts me up, kind of like a golden airbed. Lifts up just a little bit so I won't be scared. And I tend to do that, we're all human. And then it lifts a little higher and it takes off. And Metatron takes me in an amazing journey above our earth, and we receive energies. It's kind of like looking at those movies on TV that are made of beautiful landscapes by drones. So you're going over beautiful landscapes, and where we're headed to for you is a place on earth where you decided that you had the biggest soul group possible. And with this soul group, you had karmic ties. We're going to fix that, so don't worry. Now, some of you, it might be the American Southwest. Colonel Joe asked me in a past life regression what was the first place I'd ever been on this earth. And I said, I was a column of lava, and the earth was without form and void. I was a column of lava. I love rocks. And he said, no, not that. When were you with people? And I was standing out in the Southwest, and I was watching rockets come down. And I was a tall Pleiadian. Interesting stuff. That Joe led me on interesting little journeys. So you were going to go where you were first a human. Maybe it was what's left of Polynesia. Maybe you're in Hawaii. Maybe you are on the Isle of Avalon. Maybe you are back in Atlantis or Lemuria or Polaris. Maybe you were just out there on Göbekli Tepe. You never know where you might have been. But Metatron's going to take you there, and you can look down on it and you can say to all those souls who are my soul group, I love you. Please forgive me. You know what I'm saying, the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono. I love you. I forgive you. Please forgive me. And on, so that the bond between you and the biggest soul group that you ever came in with is lifted up, and you can walk peacefully with all of those beings who may be around you now as other people that you know, part of your soul group, like Carol, who's here tonight, or Linda, soul group people, or Catherine, soul group people. So Metatron has no legions of angelic beings. All of them are his. And so that Michael better watch out, because Metatron is the next zeitgeist, the next ghost of the time, and is the next spirit of the time, and will sit down in a royal presence. He's really helping us with things like, have you ever done a Merkaba meditation where you're in two pyramids, one upside down over the other? Can you see him holding a Merkaba in his hands? And his wings are multicolored. So when you're ready, you might ask for Metatron to set you back down in your sanctuary place, the beautiful forest with the birds and the sunlight, the shadows, the shade. Just a lovely place. This symbolizes where your body is happy and where it can relax. It's actually a Jungian nod to hominids coming down out of the trees and being comfortable. Anyway, let's see, how are we doing on timing? Nope, we still got a little more time. You know, I would like to let you ask questions, because that's where I really shine, when I tell you all the weird and wild stuff that's up here between these two ears. Is that okay for us to start answering and asking? And if you carry on too long, I'll tell you, wait.
Well, it would be, if we could, kind of bracket the questions for the last 30 minutes.
Okay.
On the by and large, if there's something on the fly that you want to clarify, if anybody needs a clarification on one of your terms, that's one thing. But we'd like to save the Q&A for the last 30 minutes.
Okay, we'll do that. I have plenty of other things I can show you, because I spend all my time making these fabulous looking this is the Metatron meditation. We won't go there. Have I stopped sharing?
Yes. Yes, you have.
Okay, then I will get out of here, and I'll close that out, and I'll come back and look for something else that's amusing. I'm hoping you're like looking at all the pictures and having little meditations. Usually, when I'm working on someone in my office doing healing work, and they don't have to be laying on a table, they can be sitting in a chair, and they don't even have to be present. I just work with them. I find that absentee healing, because the angels have no form that they have to stick with, then it's just as easy to work with them far away. I'm going to open this one. This is one of my favorite ones. Pam Wolf. I think you bought this program back when I had it online, and I'm going to share the screen again. My website is under work and it's crazy right now. Okay, share the screen. You're on here somewhere. This is going to be a slideshow, and we're going to work from the beginning. Okay, and did I do the screen share yet? No.
No, I haven't seen that. And if you
Okay.
get to a point where you feel like you are ready for the questions, we're in that range. So
Okay. I'll show you this one
I'll
because it
let,
has some interesting stuff in it about how to work with your body to get it to come into the angelic forces. So I'm going to come all the way down to where I want to be, and then we'll from the current slide. Come on, sweetie, from the current slide. Well, if we're not going to do that, we'll just go there. So a lot of this you've already seen, but I'm moving into how you can clean your field. So some of you have seen me teach you what's called a platinum shield. So I want you to imagine, do you know those curved up circle things? Some of my friends buy them and they get on a hill here and slide down in the snow. And my mother had an old washing machine that had one. There we go. Awakening your wings. We did some of that and opening our wings up. And there we go. We talked about the angelic chakra. Oh, I want to talk about him. This guy is an example of an angel that doesn't look like a human being. And his name, Ariel, means Lion of God. And he is a strong protector. You can tell that. You wouldn't want to mess with this guy at all. Um, and you might do a prayer like this. I call upon the Archangel Ariel, the angels of miracle and wisdoms. Please come forward as I'm in need of your assistance. Please show my soul the way to the light of God and protect me. Help me know how to have love and courage to walk through this life. Thank you for hearing my prayer. And because he's a fighter, he is going to help you out. I know some of these prayers sound Anglican or Catholic. Uh, there's quite a bit to say about the um, systems that have prayers or rituals. I used to never like rituals. I was like, rituals, why don't we just go for it? Because I have 0 Aquarius rising. I'm a real rebel. It's going to be, I could do anything the way I want to because I got that Aquarian energy. We have to be different. We did do this meditation, and this is a William Blake illustration, and it's about going to the angels of the sun, walking along the beach in the sunlight and going in. And then this one it's made for Susie Carter, who lives in Greensboro, when I did people's guardian angel pictures as a service. Love to make art. And this angel um, is about, he's very strong angel of the sun. Can you get that looking at it? That it looks like he's just carrying the sunlight, and especially the way he looks at you, that you know he's competent. And his name is Milkiel, and he is about alchemy. And I sometimes when I want something, I take my pendulum and I swing it around like a generator. And I say one of those prayers. I learned this from a little old lady in Houston. I make it go round and round and hold up my hand to get hold of the light. And I'm generating, not so much with my will, but with something. This is actually a very strong magnet. Did you know that Roman soldiers were giving 2 magnets and a bag of salt? And the magnets were for putting on their injuries. that the magnets have a north and a south pole, one's for drawing out, one's for putting in. So that's where I got the notion of I'm going to work with this. And so you might think about it, and I'll share this with you. Notice how you feel. This is a funky little prayer, but it is an angel transformation power. And if you don't have a pendulum, you could just move your hand. You don't even have to move it up where we can see it. You can move it downwards and think, by the will of the God's perception, the divine law of alchemy is now activated by the power of the spoken word. Divine energies are now negotiated to polarize geometrically and restore communication between the 16 layers of matter and the 16 divine energies within my body. The zinc within my body is polarized by the Shambhala energy. Oxygen is polarized by the God flame. Iron is polarized by the sacred flame. Silesia is polarized by the sun flame. Gold is polarized by friction fire. Vanadium is polarized by solar fire. Phosphorus is polarized by the purple-violet flame. Calcium is polarized by triple flower fire. The platinum is polarized by electronic energy. Manganese is polarized by universal energy. Copper is polarized by the blue flame, violet flame. Chromium is polarized by the odic light. Magnesium is polarized by prana. Sodium is polarized by cosmic energy. And potassium is polarized by neutronic energy. And through the law of alchemy, the divine law, which is activated by the spoken word, communication and restoration between these material world elements and these spiritual energies, this balance is now created for me. Say your name and thank you. And you can stop wiggling your hand or you're rolling your generator and notice how you feel. Is your mouth wetter or drier? Do you feel more solid or less solid? This is some wild little stuff I learned from a woman from Houston. She actually was a dancer in the Follies long ago. It's like a black and white movie. She met a Texas millionaire and he married this dancer. And she moved to Houston and formed one of the very first um, health food stores in all of Texas. And she opened a place called the Blue Door. And it was for saying prayers like this. And so she also taught me to take your right hand and touch your left shoulder and then come out about 5 or 6 inches and go around clockwise. And you might use these. So we're using a circle and the numbers are 4, 7, 4, 7. So it's not 47, it's 4, 7, 4, 7. And then push it in gently and say, holding for all time frames and dimensions. Now, these little old ladies started putting numbers because their angelics told them to. And instead of saying, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and so on, going through the whole Pater Noster and then putting it in, they took the numbers of it and put it in. How about that for a while? Does that make you feel different? So I'm trying to teach you that the angelics work on a different non-physical plane, but they can affect this plane. I'm sure some of you've had some experiences that you just go, wow. I remember driving my car and someone came in at an angle. I was sure I was dead, but it was like my car was picked up and put in front of the other car and not even touched. To this day, I'm going, I don't know how that happened. Maybe I made it up. But that is how it went, that the car was moved for me. I wondered if the other people in the other car went nuts too. There's a lot more to share on this, and I'll go along quickly and show it to you. Nope, we're not going to do that. Nope, we're not going to do that. I have lots and lots of these. I'm sure you've seen a version of this. This I show people when they want to know what are emotions. And this is a person who is verbally aggressive. And this is a person who talks you into how pitiful they are and you need to help them. So interesting idea that the human energy field is shapes and forms because we're so used to looking at the flesh form. So this is one of my favorite grounding methods, is to imagine your lower body is roots and your upper body is a tree growing toward the sun. And I'm sure you've all seen that. Up to the diaphragm is all earth. And think about it, your guts are muddy. And from the chest, the diaphragm up to under the nose is this reed in water. And this is called reed in water. So the body, instead of a tree, the body is like a reed in the earth, in the water, and then way up here somewhere, I don't know why it's so big, there is the head is like the little bitty bit of the reed you see above the water in the wind. So you might try that sometime because it's a powerful grounding method and involves a lot of things from polarity therapy. Okay, I'm going to quit this, I think. The angels are in four directions, and I ask them to grab hold of that plate that I talked about earlier, and slowly you're going to bring this platinum plate. I used to teach it as a piece of silk, a platinum plate below your feet, and it comes up through your ankles. I'm giving you a moment to imagine it. And your angels are going to pull it up. Raphael and Uriel, Michael and Gabriel, who are the north, south, east, and west angels. It's going to come up through your knees. Take your time. If you rush it, you won't get as much. And tilt the plate up slightly because you're going to find sometimes little junk wants to run and get off of it. And bring it up through your guts, slowly, slowly. Sometimes I sift it like panning for gold, only I'm panning for yuck. And it comes up through your chest. Don't forget your hands and your wrist and your forearms and your upper arms and your shoulders and through that jaw and your ears, your mouth and your nose. Here we're going through the five senses. Your mouth and your nose and your eyes and all the way up through the top of your head, and it gets all the way above your head and closes over like a sack. Be sure to take it and put it in the sun and hold the sack in the sun until you see it burn up. You could bring this net through your field several times, seeing what you can catch. And the reason for having the angels is they take care of what wants to jump off. It's very important that you send the sack, that stuff that you've got to requalify into the sun. And that long meditation I taught about the making the form and all the different words, I said that is a way to transform what's in your body too. So yeah, I won't go there. There's all kinds of amazing things that I do to get to have a good time with cleaning the field. So what do I want to say about that? Oh, you guys live in North Carolina. I once had a friend who lived up in the Meadows of Dan in Virginia, and she wanted me to clean a house because it it was very haunted by a man who axe murdered his wife and children and then jumped off and hung himself out of an upper story. So I got my little shield out and I'm doing the house and doing the house and I get it up and I just kind of push it toward the sun. And I only do the house about 200 or 300 feet out. Um, Later that afternoon, because I didn't let it burn up in the sun, the fire department was called because this ghost made a perfect ring of fire around this house. I'll never forget that lesson about making sure that I dispose of it properly. I did go back not too long after that and redid it, but I waited a few minutes because he was definitely PO'd about me cleaning. Even though I had cleaned with the angelics, they do let you learn. Like, please don't let me learn that anymore. Well, how are we doing, guys?
I
I've
think
told
it's
you.
about time for the break. If you can, if you can sum up, or your
I
presentation.
hope you. I know sometimes I get off piste and talk about other things because that's the way my brain works, evidently. Um, Even before I got chemo brain this past year, it wanders. So I'm sure I've wandered a little bit, but I hope you'll enjoy looking at the recording that these um, wonderful SFF people have done for us, so you can look over the wild and crazy things that I've said to you that I've found to be of use in working with angelic beings. So have fun with that. Do you have any questions? I know that my husband calls me the Wikipedia of metaphysics because I just wander from one topic to another, but I seem to know a lot of stuff, or I tell you I do anyway.
We will be doing the questions, and we're going to take a 5 minute break if you're done, if and when you're done.
Sure, I'm done. Let's take a little break.
Okay, and we have a couple of questions already from Kara. She was a couple of really good
I,
ones, but let's wait until we come back for that. And if you don't
okay.
mind, I'd like to everyone to say thank you for Sue Burton, for Hidalgo for her presentation tonight. Thank you for being with us. Uh, and we will now break for our 5 minute break.
Okay, I'll go get some more water so I can talk some more.
Thank you,
All right.
Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've had a great time. I love to talk,
All right.
especially to people who are metaphysical.